And so, simple question here. If we are an orange corporation that wants to adopt a green agile practice, we ask, does the organization want to shift to green culture? The answer could be no, right? The answer could be no, in which case we can only adopt orange practices, right? No means no. No doesn't mean yes. It means no. So we can only adopt orange practices. And we have to be humble and realistic. One of the biggest mistakes that Agilists make is to keep pounding their heads and thinking that they can change things when there's an actual no, right? That's actually not being respectful. When someone has said no and you keep disagreeing with them, you're not hearing their no. So they could say no. Now, if they say yes, what we've just learned from insight number 1 is that leaders have to go first. And so now we need to go to the leaders and ask them, are they interested in shifting? And I'll be sharing about how to do that next. If they say yes, then the leaders need to shift. And then as the leaders shift their leadership, then the organization will shift. And then at the very end, we can implement the green practices. So you will notice that that is not what the vast majority of Agile transformations do, right? The vast majority of Agile transformations look like, let's do team training around practices first, not let's go to leadership and ask them, are they interested in shifting their leadership styles? Right? So that's why we're talking about culture first Agile transformations. And this is what's required for Agile transformations to be successful of this sort. If you simply want to stay inside of orange and make it 10% better, then what you need to do is you need to find orange practices that are 10% better than the ones that your organization is currently implementing. But if you want to have a transformation, and for me, transformation means shifting culture. That's what transformation means. Otherwise, it's just an adoption. Not just an adoption, it's an adoption of Agile practices that are better than the practices currently in an organization, giving you a 10% better result. If you want a transformation, that means culture shift, and culture shift requires as a prerequisite leadership shift. So it starts there. You get the leadership shift, then you get the culture shift, then you get the practices shift, which is almost always the exact opposite of what most organizations start with. And why is that? Because practices are what you see when you look at an organization, and teams are a lot easier to start with than leaders. Okay, so that's insight number 2, is that you have to have culture practices fit. And now that you see this, you can probably just go into an organization and with X-ray vision, you can say, oh, that's why this practice doesn't work, because it doesn't have the right culture to support the organization, doesn't have the right culture to support this practice. Okay, so let's go ahead and answer this simple question, okay? Does the Agile structure work given the culture? So just go ahead and sticky note some structure that you know about, right? They can be some Scrum structure that everyone knows about, like the sprint planning meetings. It can be some other structure that you know about, from SAFe, from LESS, any structure that you know about. And then pick a culture, right? Red, orange, green, teal, and write about whether or not it actually works in that particular structure. So pick a structure or practice, pick a culture, and then write about whether or not it works in that particular.